on that jersey. You represent yourself and your teammates. And a name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back. Get that through your head.
And here we go.
And it is no good. He missed it. Are you kidding me? The season can't end like that.
The playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs to the 50. He runs to the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms, bare-chested. Somebody stop that man.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Tyler Falk, host of NETMA. Welcome to a Thursday edition of the program. Glad you can make it. We start off tonight's episode with some breaking news. Patrick, the linebacker from Tulsa, has been released due to inactivity, and in comes new signing left tackle Will Stevens. And I had a chance to reach out to Berto DeMora from Tulsa for a couple of comments, and he graciously provided with a couple of answers to a couple of my questions. So I asked him, what happened to Jordan Partridge? Was he inactive? What was the situation going on there? Berto said, yes, he was inactive after multiple attempts to try and reach out to him. They did what was best for the team, and they let him go. It's a great opportunity for Will to make an impact here in the league, and Tulsa's looking forward to Will coming on board. And I also asked him, speaking of Will, with how a very short time that Will has spent in the league, less than 10 days, in fact, Will Stevens has been in the league. I asked, what drew Tulsa in the direction of Will, and what does Will bring to the table here in the SFL? And Berto's just said back, there's not much to know a whole lot about these SFLM players when coming into the league, especially with how short of a time frame that a lot of them are spending with almost every day. We seem to be getting 2 or 3 more new faces here in the league, but I digress. But when situations like this arise, it's the best policy. It's also the best pool of talent to scout in the SFLM. That being said, Berto continues, we as a team knew our needs after losing a player on the roster. There was only 2 options to go with what we needed. We reached out to both candidates. Will was very interested in the opportunity, and we figured that he can make an impact in the pros. And the other candidate we looked into, we had a great conversation with that individual, and that player would like to spend more time in the minor league before jumping to the pros. And he's, in my opinion, very likely and very within his means to do so. Thanks you to Berto for reaching out. Also had a chance to reach out to the man in question, Will Stevens, as well, and I gave him my congratulations and asked him how is he feeling right now with being in Desperado, and he says, I'm very excited to be just on a pro team. I feel I can fit with how I want to develop as a player and what the Desperados are looking to do each week. I'm honored and lucky to have the opportunity to be a part of a pro team so quickly. I expected to be a part of a minor league team longer and was just hoping to be drafted my first season, and here I am. So I'm just very excited. I'm hoping to make an impact with the team immediately. And I think because Will is the only contracted lineman on that Desperado side of the football on the offense, I think Will is going to make an immense impact from day one, especially in the running game. I hope and I think Will's going to do just well with blocking on the edge That way, Douglas Brown can get to the outside and maybe make some holes. So I think even though it's sad to see someone go in the league, I think this is a fantastic addition for Tulsa. They've been one of the bright spots here in the league. A team that's really come out of nowhere and really have put a couple teams under stress, Louisiana included. And for Tulsa to be in this state to look and grab somebody, Will is a fantastic guy. Again, reached out to him before. Nothing but good things to say about Will. Welcome to the league, my friend. And I think this is a fantastic pickup for Tulsa. In regards to this signing, I asked in regards to a two-way contract situation. I know at the beginning of the season, two-way contracts became a thing with the draft. In from season 17 to season 18, I confirmed with both the commissioner and the deputy commissioner, that being Commissioner Cameron Irvine, Deputy Commissioner Andrew Rostelli. Will is not on a two-way contract because Will is taking every single offensive snap at the offensive lineman position. So he will not be on a two-way contract. He's just on a regular playing for Tulsa every single down on offense situation. So good luck to Will, and thanks for joining the league. We Tulsa are more than happy to take you on, and congratulations once again. Okay, with that part of breaking news out of the way, let's get to another new segment. We introduced buys, locks, and a couple other things last week on Thursday, and this week we have two things. We have, are you in? Or are you out? In, let's see if I get it right. In or out. There we go. There they are at the top of the screen, right up there. It's never too early to look at postseason and some bubble teams on who might make it in, who might make it out, and these are all very early. I know we did a whole bunch of this stuff in the preseason with the Content Creators Show, but this is, at this point, through 5 weeks of the regular season, more than a third of the way, a lot of teams have played 4 games. In fact, every single team has played at least 4 games here in the season. And you're not going to see teams like Baltimore or Florida on this list because they're, in my opinion, more than likely locks in terms of making the playoffs pretty much every season. And Baltimore not having a season below, 8-4 for a record. I think Baltimore is, obviously a shoo-in at this point. But we're talking about bubble teams. Teams around 500 right now. Maybe even some teams below 500 that might make it, might not make it, in my opinion. So let's just go ahead and get started. Starting with... There we go. Starting with Jacksonville. Jacksonville, at the beginning of the season, I must admit, not 2-10 predictions come back to bite you, right? I do think Jacksonville is more of a bubble team in this regard. Yes, I said yesterday on the power rankings, they have that it factor, right? They have Marcus Dunhill, who can make plays at the end of football games to get Jacksonville in a place where they can win football games. However, their schedule is a little tough, but I don't think too tough in that regard. They have Los Angeles, a close to 500 team. They have San Diego, another team about 500, same record as Jacksonville. They have Atlanta, who's always tough. They have Tulsa, another up-and-coming team. This schedule for Jacksonville, as it sits right now, is not an easy schedule for Jacksonville. They're going to need to pick up a couple crucial wins, and I think they're going to sit right around 500, maybe around 7-5, but I do think Jacksonville makes it back to the playoffs after missing last season. Okay, moving on to the first team that I think is going to be out, and it's going to be Las Vegas. Now, last season I was pretty high on Las Vegas, and I did mention over on SFL Crunch Time, which aired last night, go check that out on the official SFL YouTube channel, link to which is down below in the dibbly-doo, that they are a stingy team. They lost a couple of key pieces on the defense, so I think they're right around 500. However, Las Vegas, to me, have a very, very tough schedule. They play a couple of teams that I'm going to have on the inside of the playoffs at this point, and I think they're going to fall short in some of those games, which will lead to these tie breaks. Don't get me wrong, Las Vegas is a good team, right around 600 or 500, might make 500, but due to a couple of tie breaks, will just miss out on the playoffs. Okay. Moving on to another team that's in, and I think that's Carolina. They've had some tough ball games, especially against Jacksonville. They did lose, and so if a couple other teams fall their way, if a couple other results fall their way, I think Carolina will sneak in with a 500 record. And that's going to be in response to a certain matchup that we'll get to here in a second. But I think against teams like maybe Tulsa in Tulsa, maybe Louisiana, week 9, possibly St. Louis, probably that last 3 weeks of the season, Carolina might stun a couple of teams. Last 3 games after coming off their last bye in week 11 are all, or no, they got 2 on the road. Florida's at home to finish out. So Carolina, or excuse me, I'm looking at the second team. My apologies. St. Louis away in week 3 or week 13. Jacksonville at home week 14. They have 2 games after their final bye week 12. My apologies. They do play Atlanta before the end, before they go on their bye. But I think Carolina will do enough. I've liked their offensive production. The defense is a little, iffy at points, especially at the end of ball games. We saw that against Jacksonville. If they can fine-tune some things after their bye week here in week 6 and come out swinging with a 5-game stretch, I think they'll be in a good spot, especially against Charleston. Charleston fans, hear me out. You've got a tough schedule coming up. You've got Queen City week 7. You got Sioux Falls week 8. London here, or San Diego here in week 6. Again, my apologies. I color-coded my cheat sheet here, and I still can't read it. San Diego week 6, Florida week 7, Tulsa week 8. Charleston have a very tough stretch of games. And they got Denver and Arizona on the road 9 and 10 to close, Louisiana and Carolina to close out games before they go back on their bye week. However, how did I spell Dibbly do? Oh my goodness, Jacob important. We'll get back to that here in a second. Anyway, Charleston, a couple of tough games. They're gonna lose a couple. They lost a couple against LA and Jacksonville to begin the season. They're at 500 now. They play a tough San Diego team. Charleston's defense is going to need to step on that. Offense has to remain consistent if they want to find a way into this way to make the playoffs, though I think they're going to fall just short because I think they're going to lose to Carolina in week 10. That's how I see things going. Going back to Jacob's question, dibbly do. Let's see. I think you spelled it pretty accurately right there, dibbly do. I think that's exactly how you spell it. So the dibbly do. Yeah, go find everything on the dibbly do. Link to the show server, Discord servers down below. Link to the SFL official websites down below. NETMA server Discord's down below. You can find a whole bunch of stuff down there in the dibbly do. But that's about it. Down there. Moving on to another team that I think is going to be in the playoffs here in week 5 is Sioux Falls. And Sioux Falls have done a couple of things right. They were a little wonky to begin the season. Loss against Louisiana, St. Louis, and Denver in that order. Then they come out and they beat Las Vegas and Tulsa. 2 teams that are about around 500 and teams that I think are in these bubble categories. They have a couple of tiebreakers on these teams now. Now they need a good stretch of games to push that over the hump. I think Sioux Falls can go 7-5. I think they have the talent on defense and the right changes made on offense from a season ago or 2 seasons ago, for that matter, to make a push. I think the Julian Tyree's production has done fantastically. GP Wells had himself a good game versus Tulsa. Does that continue against Atlanta? That'll be yet to see. This week here in Atlanta before they go on their bye week is crucial. Atlanta's struggling. Can they catch them on the back foot at home? I think is a very good spot to watch for the Sparrows. Okay, third team I think is out. Team that has been right around 500 for, well, it pretty much seems their entire franchise history. St. Louis. St. Louis play Tulsa. Tulsa's coming off of a bad loss. They play are at home, and they're going to need to. The defense has been there. It has been there for St. Louis. What hasn't been there for the Gladiators is that offense. Christian Brown, one week looks like he's throwing dimes and looks like he's being consistent. In other weeks, he's throwing picks. We saw him throw a whole bunch of picks against Sioux Falls at home. Not something you want to do. The only games that St. Louis has won this season have been on the road. They have yet to win a single home game, though this is only St. Louis's second home game of the season. So they need a good stretch of games at home in order to win. They've got 2 right here before they go on their bye in week 8, their second and final bye before they finish out the season going 6 games straight. Sioux Falls or St. Louis are in a very tough spot because once they come out of that break, they got Florida, Atlanta, Jacksonville, Charleston. Very tough stretch of games. Atlanta, who would want to be on the upswing, who would want to assert their dominance back in their division. St. Louis are in a very tough stretch. They need to keep ball security at a high priority. Otherwise, they will not make the playoffs, in my opinion. Okay, fourth and final team I think is in terms of bubble teams, Queen City. You know, you're looking at Queen City. They've lost 2 games. They've also won 2 games, beating Mexico City, Fort Worth in fantastic cover behind fashion. A couple of puzzling losses though for Queen City. And at the beginning of the season, you'd think, you know, Queen City had that remarkable start to their season in season 17. Are they going to come out and start, you know, a pretty good season against a team that might be on a little bit off kilter versus Lone Star? They were destroyed by Lone Star. They lose to Houston in fantastic fashion. So either they're winning games in monumental fashion or they're losing in spectacular ways. So Queen City need to find some sort of medium here. Unfortunately for Queen City, they play Baltimore this week. And then they play DC, 2 undefeated teams. Queen City are up against it. They're probably looking at a 2-4, maybe even 2-5 record before they go into their second bye week. Queen City, I think, however, might pull off a couple upsets. More than likely, I see them upsetting Baltimore at least once, and maybe even DC in week 7. It's going to be a tight fit for Queen City, but I think they can do it. I think they have what it takes. The defense is always tough. The offense needs to play for more than 5 minutes, in my opinion. You can't win every single game by 5 points, especially against a very dynamic offense in Baltimore. All right, final team that I think is a bubble team, and it's just going to miss the playoffs, Los Angeles. Los Angeles are 1-3, 3 straight losses before they head in their bye week. They come back and are going to play Jacksonville, Carolina, Lone Star, Houston. 4 tough games to begin their next stretch of play. I think the way that Sully Richardson's been playing has not been to the standard that Los Angeles would like. He needs to be the more dynamic passer of the football that we know he can be, and that Los Angeles know he can be, rather than the quarterback that seems to be giving the ball away. We saw that against Louisiana in the week before or Florida and against San Diego. Los Angeles needs Sully Richardson to perform. That defense is solid. Los Angeles defense is solid. Tim Hackett's done well. Ryan Yosef's done well. Los Angeles is good on defense for the most part. That offense needs a little bit of work. So that's who I think is in and out here at the end of week 5. We'll touch on this once again, maybe in a couple weeks' time. But I think that's going to do it for us tonight. And tomorrow we'll do some more pick'ems. 11 games on the slate, including a spectacular Monday night tie. And we'll break it all down and take one final look at it before we get to the actual action this weekend tomorrow evening. So I hope to see everybody there on another edition of NETMA. Same time, same place, right back here on YouTube. And until then, everybody, good Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.